I want to end my life. And as I'm making my way to my destination, what I call my final destination, I'm walking and I'm look down at this cabinet and I see this piece of paper, and it was from a church, and it said, read 9 times and a miracle will happen, if not on the 9th day, if not before the 9th day. Read 9 times. And it said, never known to fail. And it had readings all about Jesus. And it said all this other powerful stuff that I can't fully remember. I've still got the paper, but never known to fail. And I read it, and like when I seen that paper, something come over me, and I read it, and I keep reading it and reading it and reading it. And I felt something come over me, like peace, I felt some peace, like, wow, it's like I felt like God's presence, I felt like all my worries. Before I found that paper, it was doom and gloom, like doomsday, like that's the end of the road.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet and record on, the Darug people of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to the elders, past and present. Welcome everybody to A Colourful Past Podcast. I am your host, Danny Shannon, where every story told proves that your past does not define your future. Let's go. Jim, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Dan.
Mate, I'm excited, Jimmy, to have you ever done a podcast? Like you and I know we know our stories quite well.
Yeah.
Have you ever dug deep into your story in a podcast?
No, I haven't, Dan. No, I haven't. Yeah.
But you love a studio, don't you?
Oh, mate, it's a great studio, Dan.
It is a great studio.
This is something else.
One of the things we will be talking about today is some of your music career. Which like I know that this place would light you up because it's kind of you're a very creative kind of guy, Jim.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that.
No worries. Look, we're going to hand it over to you shortly. What I want to say is that Jimmy is the most inspirational, transformational journey I've ever heard. You guys are going to be floored today listening to your story. Jimmy, honestly, mate, I've worked with hundreds of men over the years, not that we work together, but, I've seen journeys, I've heard stories, man, I've never heard. And you are the biggest miracle I've ever come across. But do you know that, Jim?
Not really, but I give all glory to God, Dan.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. I've lived this way a long time, and to me it just became a part of life, but to hear you say that, it's a good thing, yeah.
Some of the darkest stuff I have ever seen, and I've been very close to it, watching you over the years, and to see you sitting here today just a moment ago, just before the camera started rolling, you were talking, you were praying, you were saying a little prayer.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to hear all about that stuff. A true miracle. One of the stories, how it came to be, I think is incredible. I won't tell you any more details about that. So, Jim, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Dan. Yeah.
Jim, take me back to where it began.
Well, firstly, Dan, I want to give all glory to Jesus, my Lord and Saviour, before I start. Dan, where it all started for me was, I have memories from 3 years old. A violent episode that stuck with me, and 3 years old, and it was just chaos from there. Lived around a lot of violence, drug use, and for a long time lived around a lot of that. Seen a lot by a young age. Didn't have much guidance. My dad passed away when I was 3 months old. He was a bikie. He died in a motorbike accident. Had my mum, who loved me so much, but, she struggled too with losing my dad, and, she had some partners that weren't very nice, a lot of domestic violence, a lot of dramas, and I seen it all from a young age. There was a lot of bad stuff that happened, and I was a pretty angry kid from everything I seen. I was seen drug use by 5 years old, knew what it was about, knew everything about it. Was always attracted to the dark side of life as a kid, you know. And this just went on for years, and it wasn't pleasant over the years, a lot of hard times. 9 years old, was when I started smoking marijuana. Yeah. For that, Mum done the best she could for me. I had my loving grandparents, and they sort of raised me, and so I'd be with them. And then when I come back to Mum, it was chaos in a housing complex full of young kids, no fathers. We're all running amok. You know, I was exposed to crime at a very young age. You know, by 8 years old, I was taught how to door lock cars, how to get in the cars, and I used to steal. No direction really. Found the marijuana, and you know, I thought it was fun. I was with a group of delinquent kids and started drinking, doing graffiti, thieving. You know, very young. I was known by police at a young age. Very angry from everything I seen, you know. He was a very lost kid. Found marijuana, and it opened up doors for me, and you know, it just, not in good ways, you know. I became addicted to it, and I used to steal to get it, and I'm 10 years old. At school, never listened in school. Just ran amok my whole life, and didn't listen to anyone, you know. If I had anyone to give me guidance, I never really listened. You know, I looked up to the local criminals in my area. Then life just spiraled from there. A lot of traumatic events. And it led me to be who I am today, but a lot of trauma, Dan. Yeah.
Jim, you started off with at the age of 3, you remember a traumatic episode.
Yeah.
And I understand, I mean, you kind of went past that, of course, because we're telling your story. What do you remember at the age of 3? Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I remember walking down an alleyway, and it was my mum's boyfriend at the time. It was some business or whatever has gone wrong. Something happened between him and another guy. They was arguing, and I just remember we were at the back of a shop, and there was a guy pleading or whatever, and you know, there was a bit of physical violence, and then his head got put through a window. Yeah, and I seen that at 3, and it shaped me because, you know, I always believed that was the answer for a long time, Dan, you know. I just remember that, and by 5, I was used to it, you know, violence, seeing my mum, seeing everything, you know, and as I got older, I moved into a bit of a rougher area, and I just became used to it. I seen a lot of it, yeah.
You mentioned your mum, then you witnessed your mum being in domestic violence.
Yeah, one of my vivid memories is coming home from school. The house was all dark, you know, very quiet. I walk in, everything smashed up, fish tank, TV. Looking for my mum. I must have been about maybe 7. And I see my mum on the kitchen floor, bleeding. You know, she'd been stabbed, and I ran out to call either 000 or the police. And I'd done that, but as a kid, I gave myself a hard time because I thought I should have rang the police first instead of the ambulance, or I should have rang the ambulance first instead of the police. I can't remember which one, but I really beat myself up about it then, But luckily my mum survived, but I sort of thought, if I called the police first, maybe mum wouldn't have had a chance to live. I don't know. As a young kid, very confusing, yeah.
I think grief and confusion as a young kid lay out, for a long time. You still remember that?
Yeah.
Moments?
I remember moments too, like these are pretty vivid, like opening a book and like photos of my mum's wounds, bruises and black eyes. And that really traumatized me as a kid, I loved my mum, and seeing her like that, I've still got vivid images of these photos. Seeing her in hospitals and it was just chaos then.
Who took those photos?
She would have got someone to take them. It was for as proof, But I just found the photos and they really disturbed me as a kid then. Yeah. So it wasn't pleasant, I'd get a little bit of peace at my grandparents', but I'd bring over from what I had at mum's, I'd bring it to my grandparents, They were very loving people, and they had this wild little grandson that was aggressive and angry. And
little Jimmy.
Yeah.
You mentioned your dad at the beginning. I want to go back. What was his name?
His name was Jimmy.
Yeah. He's a bikie.
He's a bikie, yeah.
How old were you when Jimmy
3 months
away?
old.
What happened to Dad?
He died on a motorbike accident. Yeah, he was out on a ride with his boys and a foreshore drive, if anyone knows of it, and his bike malfunctioned or whatever, and he crashed, and then people crashed into him too, and he passed away. Yeah, I never knew him. Yeah.
You I've heard you talk about your dad quite proudly.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. I know you when you talk about your dad, he symbolises a big part in your story still, even though he's never been there since the age of 3 months.
Yeah.
Why, Jim? Tell me more about that. Who was he?
From what I know, he was a hard man. He was a boxer. He was a bikie. He was a fighter. Knockabout type of fella, from what I know. Very tough. Didn't pull any punches, from what I know of my dad.
Have you heard stories about him?
Yeah, just him just being wild, Just I can't remember too many, but I've met people along my travels that know of my dad, and everyone says the same thing, that he was a hard man, and more than one people say it, there must be some truth to it.
Yeah. I know. I can just imagine that's part of your, your pride around your dad, isn't it? Knowing that stuff.
So many mixed feelings and thoughts about it, Because I've grown up without him, it's not something that I find really hard anymore,
And as we move through this story today, I feel like people will be able to understand where you're coming from there, because immediately as I'm asking you that question, I'm aware that you today see the world in a whole different way.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude, it's crazy. This is part of that amazing transformation that I've seen with you. Like it's like I'm watching you process these feelings, and it's like you don't want to glorify anything anymore from the bad days.
No.
Yeah, which is really extraordinary, mate.
Yeah.
Jim, you you started smoking pot at what, 8?
Nah, I think the first time I tried it was 9.
Tell me about that day, Jim. How did you start smoking pot at 9? My daughter's 8. Oh, fuck.
Just the environment I was in, Dan. Everyone used drugs, and I was in a room. Everyone was smoking, and I said, let me try that. And older boys. And when I grabbed the bong, blew into it, the water come out.
Yeah.
And then they told me how to do it, and I punched one, and they taught me how to grow marijuana. I got taught everything, Dan. Like, as a kid, I knew all the tricks. Yeah.
So what, alcohol too, around about that age?
Yeah, a bit of alcohol, yeah.
What came first, the alcohol or the pot?
The pot, yeah.
The first thing you had, the first illicit substance, was a pot. You blew into the bog.
Yeah.
You blew.
Yeah.
And
by 11, I tried speed, Valium. Like, I used to put a lot of, I don't want to brag or anything, but the older boys in my area were like, this kid's a unit, they used to say about me. I just, from a young age, I already went hard with substance, young age. I made it all about that, Yeah. Anything, even back then, that made me feel good. I want more and more of it. Yeah.
Jim, I recall a story. And I mean, it's not funny, but you used to play up at school and you were told by your stepdad, we haven't spoken about your stepdad.
Yeah.
There's a little story around if you behaved yourself.
Yeah.
Remember the story I'm talking about?
With the pot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, at first, it was just my mum and I could run amok and do whatever I want. And she got a new boyfriend. He come along. He later became my stepdad, my brother and sister's dad. He was a hard man from Melbourne and he didn't like me smoking, but he said, I can only smoke on weekends, marijuana. So in the week I couldn't. And if I got caught during the week, I'd get in trouble. I wasn't allowed out. Sometimes it could have been physical, and school holidays, I was allowed to smoke all school holidays. And my stepdad would give me $5 to buy the marijuana every day, and you'd get 5 cones for $5.
It's a crazy story. So how old were you then, Jim?
About 10. Yeah. 10.
So at 10 years old, if you behaved yourself during the week, you were allowed to smoke pot on weekends.
Weekends, yeah.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that story with anyone else before?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
Jim, you just mentioned brother and sister.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about them?
I wasn't the best role model for them. They always still loved me. I was very distant from them for a long time. Just recently, I've gotten closer to my brother, which was a good experience. He's a great brother. He's a great person. He's got his head screwed on. He's a good man, and our relationship's good. Yeah. But he's seen me in all types of states and my life, and he still loves me. Yeah.
Did they take a different path to you, Jim, which we're going to get into?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they're both. They work 6 days a week. Don't have criminal records. Don't use drugs. They're good. Yeah.
All right. You're 12 years old. What happens? Tell us more about the story.
12 years old.
That's where we left off. You got up to, you were about 12. You were running amok.
Yeah, just had no regard for anything, no respect, didn't care, didn't listen, thought I knew best. And I learnt the hard way, Dan. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's like, I'd be told, don't do this, and I'd do it. Don't play with fire, you'll get burnt, and I'll do it, and I learnt the hard way. Not just once, too. I might have made the same mistake 5, 10, however many times, if that makes sense. But, from 12 on, it's just a training ground, Yeah. For what I later become, if that makes sense, yeah. Yeah.
Which was what?
Oh, man, basically, from 12 onwards, shaped me that age I was getting physically assaulted by my stepdad a lot, getting fully bashed, even younger, where I couldn't go to school, bruises on my face, black eyes. It made me a bit of a bitter person. It shaped me not to trust people, filled me with hate and anger. The people I looked up to were all criminals and drug users, and I wanted to be like them, I was proud when I got a criminal record at 12. It's just very twisted, Dan, and I carried that with me for a long time,
What did you get charged with at 12?
Oh, stealing bags, breaking into cars, there was a council worker van with a big bag in it, and I broke into it and got caught. Yeah, I thought I was cool. Everyone in the area was like, yeah, I'm trying to glorify it, Dan. This is how I lived. I didn't see it was bad. I just thought it was a part of life, Yeah.
We're here to share your story, Jim. We want to know what.
Yeah. So, in trouble, loved graffiti and rap music, and always got into that as a kid. Was really into that for a long time, Got known in my area.
But you were good, Jim. You're very creative, I know. I've seen your creativity. Talk about the music, the rap. No, I mean the graffiti, the music.
Yeah, grew up doing graffiti and then became part of a scene, a lad scene in Adelaide, and it was pretty rough and violent, and a lot of stuff went down, a lot of beefs and dramas, and it was wild times, man. Yeah, by 18, more trouble. As soon as I turned 18, went to jail. Not for long, but, done some crimes. Still didn't learn. When I got out, I'd done the same thing that night. No.
So you locked up at 18, Jim?
Yeah.
Me too. I spent my 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Parramatta Prison. Where was your first jail? Where did you get locked up?
Silverwater, then Para,
Yeah.
Yeah, so there for a bit, and then got out and just kept running amok, and then remember not long later I found the harder drugs. I dabbled with stuff, but 18 was when I really discovered the hard stuff, And 18 too, a lot of things happened that affected me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, traumatically. And when I found the harder drugs, it's like that pain, went away, temporarily, and then I need more to make it go away, and then that's when the habit formed, Yeah.
Jim, excuse me, just to go back, you talked about being, black eyes as a kid.
Yeah.
I know we skimmed over that. You took time off school because of that.
Yeah.
Would you mind? Okay, I would love to, because you said that made you very dark. That gave you a different perspective on life. What were you thinking at those times? What was going on in your head? How does a kid at that age deal with that? And looking back at that now, what is it like to see little Jimmy in that position?
I never thought of that, Dan. One sec.
Sure.
Like, it's not good for a little kid to go through that, you know. No kid deserves that, you know. I wish I got spoken to by a loving father, sat me down and really spoke to me with love. I never got that, you know. So it was hard, man. You know, like, yeah, it's hard to explain, man. Yeah, I just wish. I know, I never, very ignorant. I never listened much. Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Like, it became a part of my life then. It's just what it was. You know? Yeah.
Was it normal? Like, did you know that it wasn't normal?
I never thought of it. I just accepted it. Yeah, I never thought.
Did it hurt, Jim? Do you remember being in pain?
Yeah, man, seeing stars. I remember seeing stars. That's not pleasant, man. Getting full hit with a clenched fist, you know, having watch marks in your head, printed in your head from getting hit, and he had a watch on his wrist. And like black eyes. Heaps, man. Like, this went on my whole life. Like, up until I moved out. You know, he just took it out on me. He just bashed me all the time, stabbed me. Yeah. Stabbed me. Just in the hand and the head, you know.
What?
With a knife.
Tell me.
I spoke up to him. You know, you couldn't speak up to him. And then he just come at me and I put my hand up and he stabbed me in the hand and got me in the head. Always done it. That was the last time. Yeah.
Did you ever get a hospital through any of those?
Yeah. There's stitches and that.
So what would happen at the hospital?
They just stitched me up, let me go. Yeah.
You weren't questioned about what was going on?
No, really, I don't know. I wasn't in the best states back then too, you know.
Like you're a kid, Jim. How old were you?
Oh, when he stabbed me, I was older.
Yeah.
But once, when he used to bash me as a kid with black eyes and that, never went to the police, never went to the hospital, just copped it sweet, you know? Yeah. And, I don't know if I should say that, but one day, I got my, I stood up for myself, put it that way, you know? I stood up for myself, I stood my ground, you know? Yeah, after copping it for so long.
You give it to him, did you? Shouldn't be laughing, but it sounds like you bought it. What happened to you? Don't want to...
I don't want to glorify it then, you know. Sometimes I got pushed one day, you know. You know, that was me before, you know.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, I know. Like, and I mean, we'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
Why you don't want to go for it?
Yeah. But I'm happy to. Yeah, it happened. I got pushed, you know.
Yeah.
It's
okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, you also mentioned, and you said, like, I think around about 18, something happened.
Yeah.
And I think is that what you said?
Yeah, things happened, Dan. It's hard to talk about, very deep stuff. You know, one day I could, but stuff I still deal with, slowly getting better with. Just very severe violence. You know, that's all we want to say. That really traumatized me, yeah.
You don't want to talk about that?
Nah, I can't, Dan. It's a whole new kettle of fish there. It's like, that's a whole nother podcast.
So, Danny, for people who don't know you, Who were you before the drugs and the chaos? What was young Danny like?
Thanks for the question. I grew up, I always talk about having this beautiful, loving mother. She taught me all my values and morals. I also had a father whose nickname was Shonky. Shonky taught me everything I shouldn't know. He was an absolute legend too. So I grew up, I feel like a beautiful family. You know, at a young age, I ended up being running away from home quite early, like 12, 13 years old. But I definitely remember my childhood, my beautiful, loving mum and my dad being an absolute legend. You know, we travelled a lot and we moved houses a lot. I changed schools a lot. So definitely very disruptive kind of childhood stuff. But I just remember sort of being quite happy with that stuff, you know.
You could say when you look back now, do you think you saw any red flags from early on, or did things seem normal at the time?
I've done so much work around this. And look, I still stand here today, 16 years sober. I feel like I've done lots of work on my past. However, I certainly do not blame mum or dad for anything. As you could look, I remember at one point living, mum and dad had both moved back. So I'm living up in Bundaberg, I think at 15 years old, by myself, couch surfing. If you look at that, it probably isn't an ideal situation. And that's really when stuff started taking a turn. You know, that's when I was drinking, drugging. It's where I really started playing off. That's where my journey began, you know, in Bundaberg.
Danny, when was the first time you used before addiction?
Yeah, well, look, I remember the day I first picked up. It was, let's say a Saturday night. We went out to this outdoor roller skating ring up in Bundaberg, Begara, Bundaberg. That night I got drunk, stoned, and I got on these things called the cream bulbs and these nitric oxide nangs. I remember coming to after being like passed out with vomit on the floor, broken glass. I remember seeing other kids' bodies. It was an outdoor roller skating ring, by the way, just to give you some context, and it was shut. Maybe it was shut down, and we all had this big party on there. I just remember coming to with all these bodies and kids around, just thinking that was mad, you know. And I feel like that was that was my first night on it. Actually, I had had a smoke of a cigarette before that, but before that I was pretty much, and I was 14 years old then.
So that was your first time using and getting on.
Yeah.
Obviously, you wish you had have recognised at that point in time what it was going to do to you, right?
Not necessarily. Like, you know what? I don't regret anything from my past. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that in a learned way, but I really don't. You know, everything has brought me to this exact moment right here, right now. You know, if it wasn't for every traumatic or silly decision or choice that I made, I may not be here right now, you know. But so to answer that question, I feel like, it was just part of being a kid. One of the things about myself is I always did everything to extreme, you know. And I know a lot of kids do, but mine just happened to be a life or death kind of situation. It happened to be drugs and alcohol. And I was good at getting it. I was good at obtaining it, and I sort of did a lot of it.
So using and addiction don't always go hand in hand. Is that
using an addiction? No, I guess they don't. You know, I understand. I know lots of people today who can have a drink, a drug, and they don't carry on the way I did. For some reason, the day I picked up, like, this animal was ignited in me. Before that, I was quite a popular kid as well. Like, I was a really good skateboard rider. I had lots of friends around at my house. I was a really good skateboard rider, by the way. So I was a really good drug addict as well. I did everything to extremes, but I do know lots of people, and I got no problem. I think it's great if you can go out and have a drink on a Friday night or even twice a week. But I will start questioning people that are drinking every day. You know, that's not a problem. You know, like, I think there's a whole lot of mixed messages that go around that. But nah, for me, I did things to extreme.
This is your younger years of use. Can you pinpoint the exact minute in your life when things go from experimenting into addiction?
Yeah, I can. It was, we were in this yellow Gemini. It's intense. It's like I remember being there right now. I'm sitting in the back seat of this yellow Gemini. We've pulled up at this guy's house in Abbotsbury, which is out west, and we're about to get the guy, Robert, to take us to buy heroin in Cabramatta. And I remember thinking, I didn't want to do this. This was never part of the plan. Everything else up until that time I'd used. Every other drug known to man in Australia I had used, but heroin was never on the menu. It was never something I pictured myself doing. And I remember sitting in the back of that seat talking to my co-offender, who later went on to be my co-offender, my partner in crime. And he was keen. He wanted to get it. And I just thought, you know what? All right. It was peer pressure. It was literally peer pressure. Old mate got in the car. We drove to Cabramatta. Next minute, I'm sitting in this dingy little flat in Cabramatta, let's say on John Street, no furniture, dirty walls, chatty carpet. There's this Vietnamese fella sitting in front of me squatting like the Vietnamese squat. His name was Wok, and he was injecting me with heroin. And that day, if anything had been a bad choice up until that day, that was the beginning of the end. That was the day I knew I'd taken, another level. Like, this was an extreme thing, and I loved it too. This crazy thing happens when you first use heroin. I had like this power spew. You vomit really heavily. It's like the best vomit of your life, and it's like, and I'd witnessed somebody else before me. It happened, so it wasn't. I kind of knew what kind of was coming, but I had no idea why. But yeah, mate, that day was the beginning of the end, right? Like, that was literally, I never missed a day for the next 17 years. So up until that point, I had experimented, more than experimented. I'd been dabbling regularly. But from that day I tried heroin, I never missed a day for the next 17 years. Now, that's a bit extreme to say I never missed a day, because I was in custody many of those days where I couldn't get my hands on anything. But I did get on the methadone program at 21, which is basically government issue heroin. So I was stoned for the next 17 years, mate. It was a really bad choice that day.
And that's where the spiral started.
Yeah, definitely.
For you?
Literally, like, I started crime that night almost. It's like we started robbing this poor kid. He was taking bundles of money out of his parents' fucking wall, these big bundles of 50s. And I remember it took 6 weeks of him doing that. So I got a big habit in the first 6 weeks. Like, we were spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Old mate in Cabra Walk, he was cheering because he was getting plenty of cash, and we were just chopping in. So yeah, it did spiral out of control from that day.
Jim, you ever been to rehab?
Yeah, I've been, yeah, a few, yeah. Done about 4 different public rehabs, and then I had to go of all the private ones too.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, the grace of God, this time no rehab, but yes, I have done a few stints in rehab, Dan, yeah.
Talk about the music scene, Jim. You touched a little bit around the graffiti. If it's okay, I know the music scene really has molded you in a big, big, big way. Like by the way, you're going to be writing a rhyme for this podcast, A Colourful Past.
Yeah.
You going to write me a rhyme?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it, a rhyme?
Yeah, I'll call them rhymes.
Yeah, because write me a rhyme. In fact, I'd hope by the time this episode airs that it will be included. It has to be, Jim.
Yeah. I'll get into it.
We'll get you in the studio and we'll record that rhyme, and we'll make sure we put some music.
Yeah. You'd have to get me doing a rhyme on here one time too, Dan.
Yeah, well, Jim, while you're here right now, you've got the mic, Jim.
Oh, yeah?
Go. Yeah, please.
All right.
It's a great intro to the next part of this.
Sweet. All right, here we go. Numero uno represents the one true God, creator of the firmament, sun, moon, and beyond. Number 2, good and evil, best to follow instruction. There's one way to life, the other destruction. Number 3, the Trinity. The Alpha and the Omega reigns from beginning to infinity. He rose on the 3rd day, defeating death in the vicinity. Jonah spent 3 days in the depths of a fishery. From the 4 winds, God breathes a breath in 4 directions, north, south, east, and west. I can't even forget the 4 elements, earth, wind, fire, water flowing beneath the depths. Or the 4 corners of the earth where we eat and rest. The 4 seasons, heat and wet, when leaves cover the streets and birds of the trees breed in nests. On the 5th day, the water and sky came alive. Centuries later, one man paid the price to fight Satan's lies. He suffered 5 holy wounds and his name was Christ. On the 6th day, man was created and graced with life. Centuries later, 6 pots of water was turned into tasteful wine. On the 7th day, God rested on the 7th day of creation. As I flip the page, I'm gazing, reading about 7 angels with a trumpet each, chapter 8, Revelation. There's more to it, Dan, but yeah. That's
where did that come from, Jim?
I just made it up. Yeah.
You just made that up.
Yeah.
So clear. You're so aware of every single word.
I study things, and
you study a lot, Jim, don't you?
Yeah. And there's more to it. It goes up to, I think, number 10 now. But I was a bit, but yeah.
Love it, Jim. By the way, on that note, you've done some proper productions. If anyone wanted to find some of your stuff, well, tell us a little bit about some of the rhymes.
I don't promote my old rhymes anymore.
You don't promote your old rhymes?
I've took down a lot of them on YouTube. Yeah. But there's still some lingering around because they're from like Apple Music or something.
You took them down?
Yeah. I don't want to promote that, man,
Why?
That's not me anymore.
Well,
turned over a new leaf, been saved by the grace of God, and it's just a time in life, where you got to level up, excel, or not sit in them same spot. So I want to move forward, Dan.
You blow my mind, Jim. Like the change that has happened in you. That music, those music videos are so brilliant. I know. Well, to me, as an observer, as your friend, I'm so proud of you for being able to create like. What is that? It's like art. You're so creative. Your music, the videography, like they were brilliant videos. In fact, I even sing them sometimes, rap. I even spit out a couple of your tunes. Sometimes, Jim. Look, I can't wait to all right, before we get into the day your life changed forever, whoa, the day that really turned your life around. Let's talk a little bit about the addiction journey, because James, I've seen you. By the way, James is like Jimmy's. You went through a stage where you wanted to become James, didn't you? And now it's okay. I call him Jim still, But
I see it as I'm a new creation in Christ. Old things have passed away, and all things have become new. So Jimmy was my old name that wasn't known for good things.
He was the rapper. Big Jims, by the way.
Yeah, so James is me. That's me. I'm James.
You are. James, I've seen you in definitely 100% the darkest moments I've ever witnessed a man in addiction, I've seen you dead, on the couch, sticking, needles into your arms, trying to get a vein that no longer existed, abscesses, hospitalization. Look at you now. Take me through some of your darkest days in addiction, mate.
Oh well, Dan,
we're not glorifying this.
There's too many dark days.
Yeah, there were so many.
I've had a lot of relapses where I've been off everything and then got back on it. I'm going to start. Recently, when I had 6 years off everything, right? I was a week off 6 years and some things happened and I decided I wanted to end my life. So I relapsed and I done what I had to do and I had it. And I overdosed and was brought back to life. And that was a dark time, Dan. That was a very dark time. Times of, there's so many to think of, Dan. Like these rock bottoms were just so many.
Let's go back to that one. Is that the one when you went live, Jim?
That was when I took 45 Xannies. I went live that time. That was the second time. That was about a week later.
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about that one. Can we talk about that one?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What happened?
I had some issues with someone and I was very upset, very hurt or whatever, and thought I couldn't cope. And I had a bowl of Xanax and it's had enough, and I filmed it and I took them, and you seen it and called the ambulance and the police. And all I remember is being at my door, them knocking and saying, "Can we come in?" I said no. And they said, "We're going to kick your door down." And I just got a new screen door. Here's me, half by wanting to end it,
45
worrying
seconds.
about my door. So I let him in and I woke up and they supposedly my organs were shutting down and all this stuff was happening. And they thought I wasn't going to make it, and then I just pulled through. Yeah. By the grace of God, like, I've had a few other near-death experiences.
You swallowed 45 Xanax with a bottle of Coke on a live Facebook.
Yeah.
Jim, surely, and I don't, like, if you don't mind me saying this, do you feel like is that a cry for help? Or,
Yeah.
surely someone's
always
going to
cries for help, you
that?
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a cry for help, but, sometimes there's pain that's just so unbearable, man. You just don't want to die, but you don't want this pain, Dan.
I've seen you in a lot of pain over there.
It's like excruciating internal pain, Dan.
Let's talk about that for a minute, Jim. That's right, all right? So you were a week off, 7 days off, your 6 years total abstinence, no drinks, no drugs, in 6 years. By the way, I took you to rehab or detox when that first.
Oh, he took me to a lot of places, Dan.
Yeah, but that one was. Where did that start at the place at Roselle, didn't it? The 20.
Yeah, but
detox.
He started at and then Glebe House. Yeah,
It started at
yeah. Found on Glebe House.
Glebe House. Jim, all right, he's getting ahead of it. Oh, the pain.
Yeah.
In that 6 years abstinence, you experienced a lot of emotional pain due to the same behavior repeatedly.
Torturous, yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced little bits of that pain. Do you feel like talking about that?
Yeah, well,
what is it, Jim? What?
I done no inner work, Dan. I just carried my clean time and I done nothing internally. I just spoke. I talked it up, and deep down I was dying inside, hurting. I wasn't feeling fulfilled or anything, and a lot of trauma stuff, a lot of issues. There's so much to it, Dan. Like,
what was what do you think back to that day? I know you probably don't want to give too many details. What was the one emotional pain that you felt the most? Like, can you identify?
When I done that?
In that time, in that 6 years.
A lot of paranoia, a lot of doubt, a lot of fear, anger. Oh, man. Just
abandonment?
Confusion, abandonment, heaps of abandonment.
Yeah. That's
like, I felt alone around 20 people in a crowd. Just felt alone, Like, you know, hey, I've got a part to play in my actions, but I met some pretty crappy people, Dan. You know, and I'm not trying to play the victim. I'm just saying I met some crappy people that added to it, you know? When I was, yeah. But great people too.
Yeah, so a bunch of rehab. Those were some of you and I. We ever been to Bali, Jim?
Yeah, been to Thailand, Bali. Yeah. And then we've been to Queensland. We've been to Melbourne. Byron Bay.
We travelled a bit, you and I.
Yeah.
So where I was going with that is you've had some good times in that.
Yeah, I had good times in them times too. You know?
Yeah.
I think too, I was always just left with me at the end of the day, and there was some void or something.
Everywhere you go, you take you with you.
Yeah.
You run, but you can't hide, eh?
Yeah.
All right, Jim. I mean, look, just for the record, there were some really messy times, you know, in hospitals.
Yeah.
You know, on overdoses.
Yeah.
Suicide.
Yeah.
You know, about 13 months ago.
Yeah.
Something changed. Something happened.
Yeah.
Talk me through this. This is the most extraordinary story. This is, you know, if I may just say before we jump into this, Jim, I've heard, and you know, I'm quite a spiritual guy. You know, I know today you've spoken about Jesus, you've spoken about your faith.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm definitely somebody who likes to keep an open mind to everything. You know,
Yeah.
And I think whatever works for you, go you. You know,
Yeah.
This is why I love this story so much. Jim, 13 months ago, you were in psychosis. You were in. I remember a phone call from you pretty much at the time, and you thought and believed. I think you even kind of remember this phone call. That I was like out to get you. Or...
Yeah. I thought everyone was. I just come to the end of about 9-10 month binge on heroin and ice, very badly, hardly sleeping, just using to live. That's all I'd done. At the end, didn't leave the house for a month, just sat on my couch using. Everything was bring to me. I was in full degradation, I think the word is, like, you know, sick, very unwell, couldn't move. Abscesses and scabs, just sick. And I had enough, you know, and I remember the house was full of people. I just said, listen, you've got to go. You've got to go. You know? And, my cousin got me an Uber out of there, and I'd used heroin that day, and I wasn't sick. Got to his place, and then by 12 at night, I started to withdraw, and the psychosis kicked in. And that was a wild ride. I went from there in and out of hospitals for a day or two, thinking I was being poisoned, thinking everyone was after me. I had this thing going on where I thought the whole world was built around me, like the Truman Show. It's actually called the Truman Effect. I looked into it. So I thought no one was who they said they were. Like I thought you were sent to whatever, like...
What? Tell me.
I can't think, like, you weren't really who you said you were. So it was a very intense and very unpleasant time, thinking my own family was against me and everyone was against me and they weren't who they say they were, you know? And it was very distressing, and thought everyone was against me. Thought my mum wasn't my mother. Thought no one was who they were, and I remember thinking, that's it. This is what my life's come to. I was at my grandma's, and I made it there in full psychosis, paranoia. I got to end it. I said to myself, I've had enough. I can't go on. So my nan, I had a plan anyway, had things in place, and I made up my mind. Keep in mind, I've had 3 other attempts, so that time, it was serious, and it was like there was no going back. I just want to add that I don't have thoughts of that anymore. If it was to happen, it wouldn't be me anyway, Dan. I just want to say that. But one day in my life, and as I'm making my way to my destination, what I call my final destination, I'm walking and I'm look down at this cabinet and I see this piece of paper. And it was from a church. And it said, read 9 times. And a miracle will happen if not on the 9th day, if not before the 9th day. Read 9 times. And it said, never known to fail. And it had readings all about Jesus, right? And it said all this other powerful stuff that I can't fully remember. I've still got the paper, but never known to fail. And I read it, and like when I seen that paper, something come over me and I read it. And I keep reading it and reading it and reading it. And I felt something come over me, like peace, I felt some peace, like, wow. It's like I felt like God's presence, I felt like all my worries. Before I found that paper, it was doom and gloom, like doomsday, like that's the end of the road, Just picture you've come to the conclusion, this is the end. This is the end of everything. Then I found that paper and it talks about Jesus. I read it over and over. I felt calmer. I felt this power. And I was sick at the time, very sick. That went away. I felt this power. I'm like, wow, what is this? I kept reading this piece of paper, never known to fail. All of a sudden, I didn't want to kill myself. I thought all the things I'd been doing, all the bad I'd done all my life that I never thought twice about. I got conviction. Wow, look how I'm living. Look what I've been doing to my body. Look how I've been treating people. Look how I've lived my life. And I got conviction over it where I'm like, wow, this isn't right. I knew everything I'd done was wrong. And I wanted more from Jesus, And I found myself at a bookshelf. I found a Bible. And right now, I'm just like, I'm feeling a sense of peace, And I open this Bible, and it's on the book of Psalms. There's 150 of them, and it's a very long chapter. I read it over and over. I read these Psalms, and it took me about 3 hours, it's very long to read. I felt something down. When I read them words, they all, I forget the word, they were hitting me, and I was taking it in, and I was getting hope. I was reading this one, Psalm 6, and it was all about everything I was going through. I thought everyone was my enemy. And it says things like, talks about your enemies in it, and I just felt this peace then. I felt a peace that I've been searching for my whole life then.
Jim, you talked about Jesus then, and did you have a faith before this?
No.
So, see, I mean, I've seen you wear a cross before, haven't I? Before
my grandfather was a Catholic.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
I went to church with him just to make him happy.
Yeah.
But that was it. And
So in all that darkness that we've covered already, there was no faith in amongst that.
No. No higher power stuff. They say in recovery and stuff, higher power. No, I had no concept of it. Didn't know what it was. But I had respect for Jesus. Mm-hmm. I did because of my grandfather.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but didn't know much about it. until then. And then I read the Psalms, I read the Bible.
You read that pamphlet over and over.
Yeah, I read
and
the
over
pamphlet
again.
over and over. And
This will never fail.
never known to fail.
Never known to fail.
And I'm telling you, man, like it speaks truth. That, mate, because
Well,
yeah,
look at you.
yeah. So
Jim, I mean, all right, we need to talk more about what's happened since then, but that literally was your turning point. That was the point right there. That pamphlet you found, read 9 times, never known to fail. You were desperate. You were desperate for something, and I guess this is the incredible part about this. Your desperation led you. It's almost like your whole thinking changed right in that moment when you've seen
your
that.
conviction.
Yeah, your conviction.
Everything.
What does that mean?
Conviction. It's like you were convicted. Like, wow, this is wrong, man. That's how I see it. Like, I finally realized this way of life isn't right. The drugs, the crime, the violence, everything. It's like it just hit me. Like before, I'd done it. It was second nature. I'd done it for that long. I didn't think it was just a part of me. But that day, I got conviction and like really realized this is wrong. If that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a whole lifetime passed before, like your life flashed before your eyes.
Yeah.
You can move that,
I just need a walk.
Yeah, grab your water, mate. Life, I visited you in the psych. Well, actually, Jim, can I talk about? I don't know if you remember all this stuff, but I had spoken to you every single day, pretty much, for 10, 11 years up until that point.
Yeah.
Every single day, through all of your darkness, through all your madness, badness, sadness, all your grief. We'd spoken every day, and it had come to a point, in fact, at the end of that, when you were in that crazy stuff that, you were angry at me. There was things going on in your head, and we then had a break. I didn't hear from you for and like Jimmy was getting pretty crazy at one point there, but there was a big break where I hadn't heard from you for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was making inquiries because 2 days was significant. I started to ring family members of yours. I started to track down, like, where the fuck is Jim? At first I was worried. And some funny things happened in that process. I'll never forget. It's like I've been a friend of yours and helping with you for so many years. It's like people didn't want to tell me where you were, or somehow I think you didn't want nobody to know.
Yeah, I did. I told everyone to say where I was, yeah.
And I remember feeling quite offended, like, how the fuck can you not tell me?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? And it was really bizarre because to me it was like extraordinary that, first of all, that I'm not talking to you on a daily basis, even though some of those days were so difficult for me to talk with you. But anyway, finally, one day I get a call. Oh, then I get a call from you, and you were saying you were really still in a bit of psychosis, I think.
Yeah.
So I remember. Do you remember calling me?
No, not really, Dan.
Yeah. It was. I won't go into how that played out, but then after a couple of phone calls, it's like then you finally told me where you were.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bizarre for me because you were alive. You weren't. So you used to call me every day because you needed something or you needed help or you would. But then this big gap, and it's just like, this is so bizarre. Like, how has Jim gone from this to this? And then you told me where you were and I came to visit you.
Yeah. I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I came to visit you and you were actually you were different.
Yeah.
Like you were just a different person.
That's the Holy Spirit, Dan. That's what the Holy Spirit does. It transforms you.
To me, I thought they'd done it. I literally thought they'd done brain surgery or they'd zapped you because you were a completely different person. You were still saying some pretty out there things at the time because you were still in a psychosis.
Yeah.
People in the wall, I don't know. Do you remember any of that, guys?
Yeah.
Can we talk a bit about that? Do you feel...
It's a pretty out there story.
Tell it. Can we... Is it... Make sure you're okay to talk about that.
Yeah, so...
Because I've come in to visit you. Finally, it's like, oh, my God, he's going to let me see him. It's like, I was so happy, you know? And then I get there and you're like a completely different person. It's like they've done brain surgery on you. And we're sitting in a little room.
Yeah.
You told me about the wall, the people in the wall.
Yeah. So basically, everyone that I'd harmed was in the wall. And they all wanted me dead. And they were all egging it on. And I said to them, okay, I've hurt you that much. Get me this, and I'll do it for you. If I've hurt you that much, the people in the wall, I'll end it for you. You really want me gone that much? And then they just, once that happened, they all started going. All the people, it became quite, my grandmother was there wanting me dead. And this was the most real experience I've ever had.
And Jim, I don't know if you remember this, but you said I wasn't.
You weren't there.
Why wasn't I there, Jim?
I don't know, Dan. I don't know.
But
And any of this, you weren't there because there's other things that happened which I don't want to get into, but you weren't there.
so I wasn't one of those ones in the war that wanted you dead,
You weren't.
which was quite significant. I don't know if you remember why you told me, but
That was so real. Like, to me today, it was like as real as me and you right here.
yeah.
And these people coming out of the wall and say, you. And everyone I'd done wrong to was giving it to me, saying, you done this, you done that. Real as anything.
That's why I wasn't in the wall.
Yeah. Like, that was so real, Dan.
Yeah, that story goes a lot deeper. We won't. We can't really go much further on that, Jim. Then they let you out. And you were on, at the time, you were on medications. You were on maintenance.
Yeah.
You were on all this stuff, and you said, then I'm going to stop. And I'm thinking, holy fuck, please don't stop, Jimmy. You said, I'm going to. And then they let you out. And I didn't know if they were going to let you out because to me, it's like what I was seeing wasn't real because you were a completely different person. Like you started to talk about, I don't know if it's religion. You started to talk about Jesus. And to me, I still thought you were crazy at the time. Like I thought this is all psychosis still. In some ways, it's almost like it still is psychosis. But to me, because you literally have not wanted to fucking use drugs anymore since that day. You fucking jumped off being off maintenance, which I said, Jim, you can't do that. You said, no, I'm done, Dan.
Yeah. So, they said I'm going to need to take this bupe injection once a month to keep me off heroin. And I said, no, don't need it. And they said, you need it? And I said, no. And didn't feel anything. Here I am, not on maintenance.
13 months later.
Yeah.
And Jim, you just tell us, like, you got right into this. You doing raps about, well, you just did one.
Yeah.
But you've been preaching as well.
Yeah, a bit of preaching.
On the streets in Sydney.
On the streets, yeah. I get out there, hand out pamphlets, and we do a bit of preaching, preach a bit of like my testimony, a bit about Jesus. Now I'm like lyrical preaching when I get the chance. I've written stuff and I preach it in rhymes now.
Yeah. You are like, I feel like your creativity and your faith now, I think there's big things coming for you, Jim. Like I can see you. I know this because, mate, Jim, you
have this extraordinary ability, like your music. If you guys can find it, you should definitely try to look it up, because I know even though you said you removed it, there was some bangers out there, man. But then also I've seen your stuff that you're doing today. So anyway, let's focus on the stuff you're doing today. So creative. I can see you on a man on a mission. I'm gonna help lots of people, and you already are.
Yeah.
What are you doing with yourself today, Jim? Tell us how life is now.
Life's good, Do a little bit of work occasionally.
You're working?
Yeah.
I know he's working. Sorry.
It's not much, but it gives me something to do once or twice a month. Do a bit of that.
Do you want to talk about what you do?
Yeah, so I work for Hepatitis New South Wales, and we are trying to eliminate Hep C and get everyone find everyone that's on it, and there's a cure. So we go to homeless shelters and places like that and test people, and at times we pay them to test them. And I'm sort of like a guy that I'm like a peer worker. So I'll talk a bit about Hep C to the people, take names down, chase up people for their test, on the day, bit of crowd control. Yeah, so I do that. It's not a lot of work, but, it's the first job I applied for in like 20 years.
I remember,
got it.
I remember.
It's not a lot, but it's something that I look forward to when it comes up.
You love working.
Yeah.
You're always excited to get out there.
Yeah. So, when I get called in, it's good. So, and help others too, so do that. These days, try and live a healthy lifestyle.
What were we doing this morning?
I went to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creative. I like, my music. I've been painting paintings now. I do some digital, what's it called? Digital art. Yeah, stuff like that.
Jimmy, you painted me the maddest picture.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing your artwork stuff.
Yeah.
You painted Success in the City.
Yeah.
You painted me a painting called Success in the City. Yeah. And it's blown my mind. My daughter seen the painting. She said to you, what did she say to you yesterday?
She wants one, so I'm going to paint her one too.
Yeah, Abalia wants a painting too. Your paintings are incredible, Jim. You have literally transformed your life. Are you happy, Jim?
I'm happy, Dan. Best I've ever felt in my whole life. Tried so many things, and this is the best I've ever been. Feeling some inner peace. Just doing my best on this earth. Now, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy, I know we're at the gym. We've been going to the gym regularly. How do you find going to the gym for yourself?
Fan, yeah.
You go pretty hard, don't you?
I try.
You get focused on one thing and you just lock in, don't you?
Yeah. I just want to, I want a good pump after it. I want to feel it. I want to feel the burn, Dan. Not that I know much, but I just want to feel the burn. I want to feel like,
Jim, I'd love to get you in the studio to rewatch. You remember making a video on Encapsulator back in the day? Yeah, do you remember that day making that video?
Yeah, I sort of do, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2016. You recorded a message to your future self using the Encapsulator app.
Yeah.
Need to get you rewatching that video.
Yeah.
And the man that you've become today, Jim,
would you have ever expected to be where you are today?
Probably not, Dan, yeah.
You say probably not, so maybe a little bit. You always had hope.
I
eh?
had hope that it would be better, but to be at this point in my life where I'm just content with very little and loving it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like content with, you know, some music to write raps to, or content with a canvas and some paint to paint with. Not out. You know, before I wanted all big money and all this stuff. Now I'm just content, and it's a good feeling. You know, the guy I was in that video in 2016 wanted all this stuff. Now I want to sit by the window looking at birds, and I'm happy with that.
You go down and hang with the pelicans.
I love pelicans, birds. You know, that's where I get my joy. Sitting in the sun looking at birds. And that's what I'm getting at is from that video in 2016 to now, like that guy in that video, he'd be like cheering me on right now, you know, be like, look at James go, you know, look where he's at now from being that. Back in that video, I was very, confused and traumatized. My inside was chaos, and now I just to get peace from looking at a lorikeet.
Times have changed there, Jim.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. Let's coming towards the end. Where do you see yourself going? Like, tell me about the next 5 years. Like,
honestly, Dan, I can't. I just have to. It's got to be just for the day. 5 years, I can't even think ahead that much. All I know is my goal is this time next year, I want to be one step up from where I am today, you know? So I'll take it for a year. I want to level up in some way in a year from now.
Big time, level up.
Yeah.
How long has it been since that day you went into the psych ward? Like,
it's been like 13 months. Yeah.
13 months of this new path.
Yeah.
A miracle happened 13 months ago.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Jim. Anything you want to wrap it up with? Is there anything you'd like to say to anyone else out there who's been through all that pain, all that struggle? You were leaving to give it. You were going to end it that day. You'd had enough. What would you say to that person out there feeling the same way, lost, about to give up?
There's light at the end of the tunnel. Faith moves mountains. I'm just thinking, damn, how I... Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much, Dan, yeah. In that way, feeling like how I did. It's a dark place, Dan. Yeah, I don't know what to say, yeah.
Good. You're happy about it?
Yeah, just, you know, think of others more and less about yourself.
That's something you live by now.
Yeah. And when you're in dark places, these times pass, you know, and you look back, like I have on them dark times where I wanted to end it. You look back on that and realize, you know, you're a soldier, you're a fighter. So just don't give up, you know. The hurt you're trying to escape only leaves it for other people. Yeah, you know, if you want to end things, you know, if that makes sense.
It does, Jim. I've just come from the Zero Suicide Day yesterday down in Canberra, and
We laid the boots of 2,529 shoes on the ground. Each one of those boots represented a man in what they call situational distress, a man who took his life because he wasn't able to hold on, or he wasn't getting the support he needed any longer. And on that note, if I can just say, this opportunity for us to come together here today in this incredible studio and to share a message of love and hope to anyone else out there struggling. I'm super grateful for the sponsors of this podcast. Jim, the work that I've been doing for quite some time. I'm working for Wonderful Rehab in Bundoora in Melbourne. Rewire, Realign, a private rehab who have an incredible service, a holistic kind of service. Often I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me being able to go through those kind of treatment programs. So super grateful to Rewire Realigner for helping us put this podcast together. If you do want some more information, please reach out to me. Also, I'd love to say thank you to Growth Gyms up in Bundaberg. Bundaberg is a place that I ran amok back in my early days of addiction. It's where it all started for me. It's funny that Zach from Growth Gyms, he runs a wonderful mental health rehab, a mental health gym, a workplace for people doing physical exercise, but also to be supported in the mental health space. It's important. You mentioned it before, Jim, when you hit the gym, it makes you feel, get those endorphins.
Yeah. That's all I do, yeah.
And then now one of our other sponsors, in loving memory of every brother and sister whom we've lost to drug addiction to. Jim, we've known a lot over the years of people that we've lost through overdose, people through taking their lives. So in love,
many.
Yeah. So definitely want to dedicate this podcast to all the lost brothers and sisters that we've, fallen over the years throughout my addiction and everybody else's lives too, and recovery. So thank you, Jim. Thanks so much, mate. How'd you find that? That was a good little mad studio too, isn't it, Jim? We're living the dream, you and me, Jim.
Yeah. Coloured Past.
A Colourful Past podcast. This
name.
is another episode of A Colourful Past podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, to our sponsors, everybody who does support the work that I do. Encapsulate actually is the foundations of everything that I do, providing individuals with a safe place to express yourself without fear of judgment. If you are a coach or an individual out there struggling, or a coach who wants to turn your knowledge, your expertise, your craft into an online income, I'd love to share more with you guys about that too. Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Good work.
Thank you.